son, Kevin, died of alcohol poisoning on the day he moved out on his own.
Mm.
Suffice to say, we had to decide what to do with his ashes. And I grew up in Kalispell, Montana. It's up in the northwest corner of the state. And Kevin had been there a number of times and always talked about wanting to move there someday and buy a ranch. So we decided to take his ashes to Montana. Uh, the normal thing to do is put them in your car and drive there.
Wow.
But I decided to put them in my backpack and walk from Gilbert, Arizona to Kalispell, Montana with his ashes in my backpack and tell the story along the way
Yeah.
because I just don't want to see this happen. Travel, there's travel costs, but I don't do this for the money, Ashley. So just
Yeah.
reach out and we'll make it happen.
Yeah. So, for those who would like to know, it is Kevin's Last Walk, a father's final journey with his son. You can find this book on Amazon, definitely, and I think Barnes and Noble. Yes,
Barnes
Barnes
and
and
Noble
Noble.
does. Yeah.
Yep, yep,
You
yep,
can buy it from the website too.
yep. What is the your website?
The website is kevinslastwalk.com, and then on Facebook it's Kevin's Last Walk, all one word. And I post all the podcasts there too.
Nice, beautiful. Yes, and then what Barnes and Noble? If you guys want to read a preview, Barnes and Noble has it. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, it's beautifully written. I do have to say, some of the paragraphs that I did read, it just sometimes gives you pause and think about not only yourself, but your family and what we're blessed with. I think after reading this, one thing is for sure is that I'm speaking for myself, but I know a lot of people out there, but I'm speaking for myself, is that I don't thank God enough for the people, my family, in my life. Um, to be able to know that, my my child was able to wake up to have 10 fingers and toes
Your
still
book,
move.
you write,
Your death has taught me how deep that love goes, and that life holds no guarantees. You taught me that God has a plan for each of us, and sometimes someone must die so that others might live. That was I had to sit
That's
on
part
that.
of why I always tell the students, I'm just here to tell you a story, not here to tell you how to live your life, because I think stories help them because in some way, when you hear a story, you try to relate it to your own life,
Hmm.
right? Anytime you hear a story, you kind of try to relate it to your own life or think, well, would I have done it that way?
Mm,
Right? And it's those real life examples um, that they need to hear about,
yeah.
right? Because not every story ends up happily ever after. 1,400 miles and 5 pairs of shoes, but I have found a way to forgive myself. I actually heard a pastor describe it best once. He said that anger and vengeance lead to one thing:
Yeah.
destruction. Forgiveness leads to healing. And sometimes the most important person you need to forgive
This
is
book
yourself.
is about overcoming grief. And oh my goodness. So, with us recording, and as I talked about with transitioning and life, moving on, what what advice? I know we're talking about parents,
Yeah.
but I mean, what your son went through um, was unpleasant. Um, what advice would you have for our youth?
Well, um, three things that I tell students every time. The three takeaways that I give everybody. And the first one's about decision making.
Hmm.
The two most important decisions you're ever going to make, apart from following Jesus, are about drugs and alcohol. It isn't even close, right? We all know stories.
Right.
You need to educate yourselves about the dangers of drug and alcohol abuse as if your life depends upon it.
Mm.
Because it does. It just
Mhm.
does. And the second thing is about adversity. And the Bible's full of the stuff about this. The way you respond to adversity is going to define your life.
Mm.
Notice I didn't say might, it will. Bad stuff happens to everybody. And third, and perhaps this is the most important one, is
Do you
about
have to
forgiveness.
say, some of the paragraphs that I did read, it just sometimes gives you pause and think about not only yourself, but your family and what we're blessed with. I think after reading this, one thing is for sure is that I'm speaking for myself, but I know a lot of people out there, but I'm speaking for myself, is that I don't think God enough for the people, my family, and my life. Um, to be able to know that, my child was able to wake up to have 10 fingers and toes still move, that they still have their health, that they were able to enjoy their day and smile and just to not to have a worry. And so I know I am guilty of not thanking the Lord enough just for the simple things.
Yeah.
Have you, um, how should I say this? How should I say this? Have you apologized? Have you had a different conversation with him in regards to this?
You know, it's a fair question. Um, for me, um, to answer your question, no, I haven't. But what that did for me, Rachel, was it took God from the theoretical
Hmm.
to the real,
Okay.
right? And you know, trust in the Lord with all your heart
Yeah.
and lean not on your own understanding, right? And for me, that's where I am.
Hmm.
He's God. He knows that I know that now. Uh, he has a plan, and I've told him I'm good with it. Whatever
Hmm.
you want me to do, um, I'll do.
So surrender.
It's you have to. There is no, for me, there is no other choice. You have to surrender to what he has in mind. Bare your soul and tell everybody about the most painful day in your life. If God would have said, "Hey, I got this plan for you. What do you think?" I would have said, "Nah, pick somebody else." But the Bible actually talks about that. That He doesn't choose the qualified; He qualifies the chosen. Because
Yeah.
I'm not qualified, right? I'm not the right guy.